First of all, thank you very much for being with us today. We all know that you have busy schedules, although your RCF has already passed, if I'm not mistaken, but still, it's the end of the summer, so I guess workload is going up again. So thanks for being with us. This presentation and this webinar in general will last about an hour. We'll try to keep it short. It depends mainly on the amount of questions we have in the end. You know that you've received a link, an internet link yesterday to ask any questions you might have. We saw this morning that we received one already, so that's great. And you can still send questions during the next few minutes, and then you will see that the screen that you used to connect will change as we go through the presentation. But at the end, we will reopen the questions for anything we might not have answered and you might want to ask. So the first step is to tell you, Michelle.
So basically, when we sent the invitation to everybody, we did say, please remember to bring your laptop or a device that can connect you to the internet. So if you have your laptop right there, we're going to ask you to please go to the website that is there on the screen, paulf.com/WCC2016. This is how we are actually going to be communicating with you guys in the different offices. So this is, as Sebastian was saying, this is where we have the first question. Is it on now? Have you been here?
Well, maybe.
You want to try?
You want to try straight away? Okay, let's try with the first question. You should see now on your screens, on your personal screens, a question asking you, have you ever been to an IUCN Congress before? That's if you are connected to the URL that Michelle just gave you, paulf.com/WCC2016. And you see on your laptops or iPhones or whatever device you use that you can actually answer the question. So we'll give you a bit of time to answer these questions. Right now we have two answers, two people who have already attended the Congress, which is great.
Well, one was me, so.
Okay, so that's one person.
So basically what we're going to do, this is just for us to have an idea of how much information you will actually need based on whether you have been there or not. But it is also so that you test the system. We're going to give you a little bit more time because we were expecting at least, according to what we said yesterday, we were expecting like 30 people to be connected right now. So we're going to give it a little bit more time so that you just go there. And what is going to happen is basically we're going to be asking you questions all along this presentation. You have nothing, you don't have to do anything on this website. If it says login, don't log in, don't refresh the page. Everything will happen magically from this side. And actually, this is one of the tools that we would like to implement for the next, for the forum, for the Congress. So we have 8 results. We'll give it a little bit more time.
Half and half, which makes things more complicated. Because if everybody had been to a Congress before, then this presentation would be much shorter. Okay, 5 and 4, 5 no, 4 yes. So we see that more or less half of you have been to a Congress before, and the other half, for the other half, it will be the first time when you come to Hawaii.
There we go, 11.
Starting to move towards the no, so more new people in this Congress. All right.
Okay.
That's moving seriously towards the no, so I guess we'll have to go for the presentation and go into all the details of the Congress.
Okay, we'll leave this question open for a little bit more time. So if you can just like write it down somewhere over there, if you have a whiteboard, for those of you who are not yet there, who have not connected, if you can just write it down so that you have it, paulf.com/WCC2016. And let's get started then.
Yeah, and then you'll see that, as Michelle said before, you don't have to refresh your screen. It will just update as we go through the presentation with new questions and new interactions we'll have with you. So let's start with the basics about the Congress. You know that the Congress is 10 days long. That includes everything. So we will be, most of us, in Hawaii for at least 10 days. And each Congress is also as a flavor given by the host country. In this case, it will be Hawaii, as you know. And you can see on your screen the logo of the Congress, which is kind of inspired by the Pacific region and the features that Hawaii, the archipelago, has to offer, like a volcano and the sea and the flower itself, the hibiscus, which is the national flower of Hawaii. The structure of the Congress itself, that you can now see on your screen, you can see that there is two main parts in the Congress. The blue one, which is the Forum, and that's the one we will focus on today. And then the orange one on the right of your screen, which is the Members' Assembly, which is where all the members will discuss and vote resolutions, motions, the program, and all the documents that will then become the policies of the Union for the next 4 years and beyond. Today we will focus on the blue part, on the Forum, because that's where the toughest deadlines are right now. And then we'll have more webinars as we go along with the presentations of with the preparation, of the Congress, on the assembly, on logistics, etc., etc. So the next Congress will take place in Honolulu, Hawaii, from 1 to 10 September next year. It's not the first time that IUCN organizes a Congress, because you know that in a way the Congress is part of the democratic nature of the organization. We need this kind of event to happen every 4 years to make sure that all our members, all our partners, all our commission members get together and have a chance to discuss where they want the union to go. Because you have to remember that we are a union of members, so ultimately that's our members who decide where IUCN is going and what IUCN should do. That's why, in part, why we need this Congress to happen. It's also a way to demonstrate to other organizations, to the conservation world in general, that IUCN has a great convening power, and that when we want and when we decide to convene the world in a place like Hawaii, we can do it, and we do it not only just to convene these people, but also to make sure that when they are together, all these people really take important decision and action for conservation. For us, for the Secretariat, it's a tremendous opportunity, because that's a place and a moment where we will have most of our partners, most of our donors there in Hawaii, and that's an opportunity for us to talk to them and make sure that we start defining the projects and the initiatives that we want to launch at the Congress and then implement after the Congress. When you compare where we are right now, where you are right now, and where Hawaii is, you can see on the screen that we actually have to cross half the world to get to this archipelago in the middle of the Pacific. There are 7 main islands in Hawaii, 136 in total, but only 7 inhabited. And on one of them, Oahu, you can see the city of Honolulu, and in the middle of this city, the Hawaii Convention Center, right now on your screen, where the Congress will take place. It's really a high quality facility. That's probably the best convention center we had until now. You can see that it's ideally located in the heart of Honolulu, only a few minutes away walking from Waikiki Beach, that you can see right now on your screen, which is the prime tourist location in Hawaii, and located really in the center of the city, where all the hotels for us and for participants will be, and all the other attractions that Hawaii has to offer will also be accessible. Honestly, to go back to the convention center, we've been there, and it's probably the biggest convention center we had until now for a Congress, and the best one in terms of the facilities that Hawaii has to offer. For those who have been with IUCN for a long time, you will know that IUCN congresses might look like a big fest where everybody come and talk about their thing and then go back to their normal work, and you have the feeling that nothing really happens in a congress. But actually, if you look at the history of IUCN congresses, you can see that most of the conventions that we know today, like the Convention on Biological Diversity, or CITES, or the Basel Convention on Waste Management, or any big conservation convention that we have today, actually came out from an IUCN Congress. It doesn't mean that the text of the convention was written during a Congress, but rather than that, having all the people gathered in one place made all the things needed for this convention to happen really there at the moment of the Congress. So maybe it was a resolution coming out from one of our Congresses that gave birth to the Convention on Biological Diversity, which then was redacted and created somewhere else. But it was the IUCN Congress who originated the CBD. More recently, in Barcelona, for example, in 2008, we launched and we created, in a way, we crafted the concept of RED+. There were a lot of definitions before Barcelona, and the Barcelona Congress was key in making sure that all the people agreed on a common definition and would promote this concept afterwards in other forums like the CBD or the UNFCCC in particular. But it was the IUCN Congress who was key in coining, in a way, this concept. The same for the Sustainable Development Concept, who was created through an IUCN Congress. So we can see that congresses are really important in framing all the big items that will make conservation happen after a Congress. Who goes to an IUCN Congress? The first target for us is obviously our members. We have more than 1,300 right now from 160 countries. And we want these people to be at the Congress because we need them to approve all the policies we need for IUCN. For example, if, let's say, GMOs is a big issue in Hawaii, we don't have right now an official IUCN position on GMOs, simply because we have 2 resolutions on GMOs, but these 2 resolutions are contradicting each other. So if we want to say publicly the IUCN position on GMO is this or that, we can't, because we need a 3rd resolution in a way telling us this is the official position IUCN will have on GMOs. And we need members to come to the Congress to agree on this resolution to make sure that afterwards we can use this document as our official position. Commission members will be also a big chunk of the participants in Hawaii. Only in the US we have around 10,000 commission members, so we can expect most of these people to be at the Congress. That will be a big bulk of participants. But we'll also have the wider conservation community, meaning anyone interested in conservation somehow, coming to the Congress, because they recognize that that's the place to be if you want to have an impact on the conservation agenda. All these people will come from governments. We will have presidents and ministers, obviously, like in any Congress. We'll have a lot of NGOs. We'll have most of the UN agencies, not to say probably all UN agencies present at the Congress. We'll have indigenous people and indigenous people organizations, mainly because you probably know that one of the big discussions that will happen in Hawaii will be related to indigenous people and the way we can integrate them into IUCN. We will have people from universities, and we will have people from the public and the private sector. Again, for us, from the Secretariat, whether we are in HQ or in the regions, the Congress is really a great opportunity to interact with all these people and make sure that we prepare the way for us to implement the program after the Congress. We make sure that we talk to them about projects and initiatives or funding that we need after the Congress to make our work happen. We have another question for you. You should have received a few weeks ago an email from our Director General with the theme framework of the Congress. And just to make sure that some of you have read this paper at least, we want to ask you, what is the slogan of the next Congress? The title of this document, actually the theme framework, is the slogan we will use for the next Congress. We just want to see if any of you have read the document, and I mean, there is no problem if you don't have. All the questions and all the answers are anonymous, so we won't know who has read the document and who has not. But it's just a way for us to know if you got it or not. And if you know, yes, good, what the slogan of the next Congress is.
So I'm going to ask you again to go back. Just open your laptop. If you have not been there yet, then you can just type it in now, paulep.com/WCC 2016. If you don't think that what you can see on the actual screen right now is correct, then just go ahead and type. If you don't know it, you can also say, Act to Save the Planet. There you go. If you don't know it, you can also say, I don't know, and that is all right, but as long as we can at least keep you awake during the meeting, just go ahead and only send in the email signature. There we're going.
That's a clever one.
Well, actually, this is pretty good because the last webinars we had, actually, most people did not know. So I think the whole email signature actually is working.
Improving thing. Planet on the elevator.
That sounds more like a. That sounds more like a song. Love in the elevator.
Okay, we'll keep the question open so you can keep on answering. But I think that actually most of you have read at least the email signature or the theme framework for the Congress. And indeed, the next Congress will have as a slogan, Planet at the Crossroads. If you've gone beyond the title of the document and started reading what the theme of the Congress will be, you know that the theme starts with a sentence that says, we live in a time of tremendous change, and then goes into explaining why we think this Congress could really be a chance for us to move from what we have been doing until now and change something concretely in the world. Why? Because we have three elements. The first one is that we will have next year 15 years to deliver on the Sustainable Development Goals that will be approved in a few days in New York. And we need to decide, or we need to make sure that this is not just a decision of the UN that will stay on paper, but that we actually do something to achieve these goals that will be approved. We think also from IUCN that there is a viable alternative approach and that we don't necessarily need to choose between human progress and conservation. We know from our work in recent years, we know from our experience that these two things are not mutually exclusive, and we want to advocate for this third option, this viable approach, to be recognized as at least one option, if not the option for the world to go. But for this, we need new partnerships, and we need new partnerships bringing not necessarily the people who normally come to an IUCN Congress, but also new audiences, new sectors that don't necessarily know about IUCN or don't necessarily know about conservation, but have something to bring to the conservation debate we're trying to promote. We recognize as well that this is probably the best or the greatest puzzle we have to solve, and that's also why we need these partnerships to happen. These three elements of the theme paper respond to the Congress objectives that were defined by Council a bit more than 1 year ago, which are to inspire the conservation community to take action, to strengthen and mobilize the Union, and to launch the Hawaii commitments. These are the big lines, the big objectives we want to have for the Congress, and everything we will do either at the Forum or at the Members' Assembly need to contribute to these objectives that were defined for us by the Council. And then the last sentence of the theme paper is the one you can see on your screen. This is our collective challenge for the next 15 years. And this is also the invitation that we want to send to the world through the IUCN Congress 2016. We also want to keep the Congress strategic, and this is why we ask anyone interested in getting involved or joining the Congress to think about what they want to see happening in the world 10 years from now. So the Congress will happen next year, but then what are the big changes that we want to see happening after, in the year after the Congress? If we take a smaller time scale, we want to think about if we had the power to decide on the news headlines on 11 September next year, just at the closing of the Congress, what would these headlines be? If we could decide on the key messages that newspapers would send to the world after the Congress, what this message would be. We started thinking with senior management, meaning the global directors here and the regional directors in the regions, about strategic topics that will somehow pop up throughout the Congress and that we would like to promote through the Congress. And this list includes right now the issues of natural capital, health and environment, private sector, the role of private sector in conservation, the role of local governments in conservation, the SDGs, obviously, the Sustainable Development Goals, the issue of peace and security, or the taboo that we haven't touched upon until now, but somehow we need to address at some point, the issue of demography and how this impacts or affects conservation. This list is not final by any means, but that's just a guide for us to make sure that we have some strategic elements that we will apply to the selection of proposals for the forum, for example. We also have some guiding principles. The main one is youth engagement, because as we said before, it's great to have yet another Congress, and it's great to have yet the same people attending all IUCN Congresses. But if we don't talk to new generations, if we don't talk to the younger generations who will be in charge of the world in a few words, if we don't make sure that somehow these new generations talk to the older ones, us and the others, that have been trying to conserve nature for many years, and kind of establishing intergenerational partnerships between these two elements of the Congress, then basically we will fail, because when our generation will disappear, the new generation won't be engaged in conservation, and all of our efforts will be in a way wasted. So so we want to make sure that at this Congress we give a lot of priority and profile to younger generation and make sure that they take the relay that we are giving them to conserve the world. We also want to reach out to new audiences, including people that wouldn't necessarily come to an IUCN Congress. If we talk, for example, about health and environment, we in IUCN know a lot of environment, but not necessarily about health. So if we can reach out to the health sector through WHO, the World Health Organization, or the people who are already thinking from a health perspective in terms of how health can contribute to conservation, then we bring a new perspective and we bring a new element to the debate, and we, in a way, enrich this debate and find new solutions to our challenges. We also want to show concrete actions and results, because we don't want this Congress to be yet another talk show, but really use it to demonstrate that conservation works, that we have already some figures to show that we are making progress, and that just by scaling up what we have been doing until now, we can really achieve a greater impact at the level of the planet. With all these, we want to inspire not only the conservation community, but more generally anyone hearing about the Congress, for them to see that actually they also have a say, they also have a responsibility in conserving nature. That's again the guiding principles that we will apply to the Congress. Doesn't mean that there are strict rules, but there are factors that we will use for shaping the Congress, and in particular the forum.
Okay, so now again we're going to go back to pollev.com. We have one question for you. We need you to indicate at least one criteria that will be used to select forum proposals. So basically with this, we are closing the more general part on the Congress itself, and we're going to start getting into the specifics of the forum. And we would like to know, just if you have any idea, you can go ahead, just say, I don't know, or you can go to the Congress website very quickly, copy paste everything, send it to us right now on the poll everywhere. It is an open question. How does the proposal align to the IUCN program areas?
That's one.
Very well.
Correct. Yeah. Any other idea?
I think there is people actually going into www.
checking the Congress portal and making sure that you know the criteria. Remember that basically we will receive a lot of proposals for the forum, and we need to decide which ones will make it to the Congress and which one will just stay along the road. So that's why we need this criteria. How does the proposal contribute to implement resolutions and recommendations? Yes, that's not one of the main criteria, but it is a criteria. Yeah, you're right. Relevance to key theme of the Congress. Correct, that's another one. Any other idea from anyone else?
And that is from me. That's a little bit of help, just in case. If you go to the Congress website, you can actually go into the forum on their program forum, and then you will see there's a link on the left, the call for contribution. So all of the information about the call for contributions is right there. But just in case you don't actually want to go and browse our documents, then let's start with the forum.
Right. So the forum, as you will remember on the first slide, is this blue part in the Congress structure. That's the first part of the Congress, and that's the one that is open to everybody wanting to come to Hawaii and host an event at the Congress. It lasts for during 4 days, so 4 days of forum, during which we will have more than 500 events happening during all day basically, and half of the night maybe. These events are divided into 4 categories: workshops, knowledge cafes, posters, conservation campus. For those who were at the last Congress in Jeju in Korea, you will know that these events are exactly the same that we had in Jeju. We haven't changed the type of events we have at the Congress, because what we wanted to do with this Congress is make sure that it was as simple as possible for people to get involved and propose an event for the forum. So if you've been involved already with IUCN in the past, you know already these types of events. And what we've done is simplify the way the mechanism you have to submit your proposal for one of these items. All of these are 2 hours long, like in Jeju. We haven't changed this either, except the conservation campus, which is the learning part of the Congress. And when you do a training course, you need more than 2 hours. So these sessions are either half a day or 1 day long. That's the only exceptions. All the others are 2 hours long. As you correctly said before, all these proposals must contribute to the Congress objectives. They must be framed within the Congress theme, the one we just talked about before, and they must contribute to the IUCN program 2017-2020, which is the draft program that we are currently discussing through all the regional conservation forums and through the online consultation with members and partners. So it's a draft document, but we still base the forum on this draft document because we want to use the forum as a way to demonstrate or to explain why we chose this program, why it is important for conservation in general and for IUCN, and why it is like this and not like maybe WWF's program or any other organization's programs. Why we chose these issues and why it does make sense for IUCN. The important thing to remember with this process is that all forum events are selected through an open and competitive process, meaning that anyone interested can come to Hawaii and can propose an event for the forum. Competitive because not all the events we will receive will make it to the forum's agenda. So it's just a way to tell you that if you want to propose an event for the forum, make sure that you think about it and you try to propose the best proposal that you can think about, or the one that will bring you more benefits during or after the Congress for the program or for the projects you are currently working on. The selection of proposals is done through what we call the call for contributions. That's a process that is currently open. Anyone interested can access the Congress portal at the URL you can see on the screen, portals.iucn.org/congress. And on this portal, after logging in with the normal username and password that you use actually every day to connect to your computer, you'll be able to see the form that you can see on your screen, which is a simple form you have to fill in to submit your proposal. On this form, you will be requested to select the event you want to propose, either a workshop, knowledge cafe, conservation campus, or poster, and then explain, give a title to this proposal, and then explain what you want to do with your session. And that's actually very important because that's the information that the reviewers will use to decide if this proposal is useful or not for the forum. So the more information you give us and the more precise this information, the better or the greater your chances for the proposal to be selected. If you just tell us, I want to organize a workshop on the conservation of biodiversity in Vietnam, yeah, great, but what will it bring to the Congress? What will it bring to Vietnam? What will it bring to conservation? So be really concrete and precise in the way you see the session, what you want to get out of the session, what the session will bring to participants, etc., etc. There is also one thing that we will look at very carefully is the way you will interact with participants. We don't want workshops to be just series of presentations and then at the end no time for questions. So make sure that when you submit your proposal, you also give us as much information as possible on how you will interact with the audience, how you will make sure that your presentation is participatory. It can be just indicating that you will use facilitation techniques or a system that like the one we are using today with you for questions, for example, things like these that will give us an idea of what you want to do and how you will stage your session in Hawaii. To help you in this, you can download and more than download, read what we call the outline of the call for contributions, which is a document that you can find on the same Congress portal at portal.iucn.org/Congress. And in this document, you will find guidelines on how to submit your proposal, how to explain to us what you will do with your sessions. You will find key references document like the IUCN program or the theme framework, all the key documents that will help you define better the content of your session. And you will find much more important than anything else, the selection criteria that will be applied to any sessions during the selection process. So, in other words, if you read the selection criteria and if you make sure that your proposal matches the selection criteria, you will have more chances for this proposal to get accepted. You will also need to identify partners, especially if you want to propose workshops or posters. You know that we have in IUCN something that we call the one program approach, which obliges us at the Secretariat to work with members and commission members in almost anything we do, project implementation or program development. And this rule also applies to the forum. So if you want to host a workshop or a conservation campus session, you need to have partners. If the water program in Thailand wants to host a workshop, they cannot or you cannot, as a unit, just submit your proposal saying we will do a workshop on water management in Thailand, and this will be managed by the water unit in ARO. That won't work because you won't have partners. And if you don't have partners, your session will be rescaled to something else. It won't be a workshop. It will be moved to posters, it will be moved to Knowledge Cafe, but it won't be a workshop. So if you really want a workshop or Knowledge Campus session, make sure that you identify your partners, which can be IUCN members, IUCN Commission members, it can be other units anywhere in the Secretariat, so you can work with other water units in other regions, for example, or any partner like UN agencies or any NGO you work with at the FIT level on any specific project. Anyone outside the water program in Thailand, for the case of this example, can be a partner for this session. But you need to identify these people at the moment of submitting your proposal through the portal. And the last thing is that you need to submit all proposals for the forum through the portal before the 15th of October this year. So you have a bit more than 1 month left to think about what you want to do in Hawaii, identify your partners if you're thinking about workshops and campus sessions, and submit all this through the portal. And that's actually a very important deadline because it might seem a long way to the Congress yet, but it's not. And after the 15th of October, we will need to review all the proposals that we have received. We need to make sure that we put all this into a forum schedule that we will then send to you to make sure that there is no clashes or no problem with the way we want or we see the forum agenda, and then release this publicly for people to be able to register for the Congress and know what they are registering for. So it's actually a very long process after the 15th of October that makes this deadline really a strict deadline, and there won't be any extension. Anything needs to be on the portal by the 15th of October. We also wanted to tell you about maximizing your impact at the Congress, because again, if you come to Hawaii, organize a workshop, and then nothing happens, it's great, but you won't get very far. So you will have a workshop and then nothing will happen. The best advice we can give you for this is to use the Congress as a means and not as an end in itself. So think in terms of what the Congress can bring to your project or to your initiatives. think about all these people that will be in Hawaii and how can you use the opportunity of all these people being there to get something for you, for your projects and your initiatives. Something that will be even bigger than the Congress and even bigger in terms of size and bigger in terms of time. It doesn't need to happen at the Congress. It doesn't need to happen just right after the Congress. It can be something much bigger that will take 5 years to develop after the Congress, but something that the Congress will have helped shape or define next year in Hawaii. For this, you need to engage with your partners from the start, and that's why we are really pushing for the one program rule to be applied at the forum, not just because we want to make things more difficult for you to get a proposal accepted, but also because we think that if you start working with other people right now to define and state your proposal for Hawaii, then you will have much stronger links with them at the Congress, and after the Congress the results will be even greater. When identifying these partners, again, go beyond the usual suspects. You might be already working with many organizations, but maybe you could try to think about other people, other organizations that are not currently part of your projects, but might be useful to bring to the debate, bring to your session, bring to Hawaii for a new perspective on the issue you want to deal with. Define clear outcomes for your session, and that's really important because a lot of people just think of workshops for the sake of workshops. So they have a workshop and then that's it. It was just to present the results of their project and then nothing happens afterwards. Think in terms of what this workshop can bring to you, can bring to your projects, can bring to your fundraising, for example. And this will also help you define what you will say or show during the session, but also define the people you want to get at the session. If you want a specific donor to be there, you might want to include them from the start as partners in the session. Or you might want to make sure that they know about the session so they can come to that specific workshop in Hawaii and help you define the outcomes or the results of the sessions in terms of fundraising. To help you communicate with the audience, we will put at your disposition as soon as your proposal is accepted, so by January next year, what we call the web spaces. That's a similar system we had in Jeju. That's a system like, let's say, a Facebook page where you can advertise your session, upload any material related to the session, like the presentation, pictures, background documents, anything you want to share with participants, and then make sure that anyone interested in the Congress, any participant who will be registering and browsing through all the sessions they might be or they might want to attend at the Congress can find the information about your session on this web space. But don't limit yourself to the web spaces, because we know that it's an internal mechanism more than anything else. So use social media and promote your session through the hashtag of the Congress, for example, hashtag IUCN Congress. Use these to promote your session as the key session that people should go to during the Congress. Integrate the participant's perspective. It's great to think about what you want to get for the session, but it's also interesting to think in terms of what participants will get if they come to your session. And if you integrate this approach to your thinking, you will see that it will probably give you new ways to think about the way you want to stage your workshop or your session in general. And again, create expectation. It's a competitive process, it's an open process, and there will be more than 500 events happening during 4 days. So your event, your workshop will be in competition with all these other events. You need to make sure that people know about it, that people want to come to your event and not to the one next door. And for this, you have to create or to make the buzz. You have to make sure that people identify your session as the best session at the Congress. What we want to avoid through giving you all these advices is this, which is not a picture taken at the IUCN Congress, but it could perfectly be. We saw quite a few sessions like this in Jeju and in Barcelona and in previous congresses.
And we hope that is not what is going on right now at the regional offices.
And we really want to avoid this. And if you try to follow at least some of the guidelines we are giving you, you will probably end up with a session like this, and we are really pushing for all the workshops in Hawaii to be like this and avoid the previous picture. The key again is to be different. Try a different setup. Use new tools and methodologies. Use a professional facilitator, because interactivity is key. And in the end, the interactive sessions we will have in Hawaii will be the ones that people will remember and the one people will want to engage with. So remember that all event proposals must be submitted through the Congress portal. There is no other way to submit a proposal. You cannot just send us whatever you want by email and we will enter it for you in the portal. Doesn't work like this. Sorry.
Not even if you try very hard.
No, won't work. You have to go to the Congress portal and submit your proposal through the portal. Remember that this is a competitive process, so only the best proposals will make it through. Double check the selection criteria. Again, the more your proposal matches this criteria, the greater the chances for this proposal to be accepted. Plan your session from the perspective of the participants. Integrate interactivity and facilitation from the start, and tell us about how you will do this in the form, in your submission, so we know that you are already thinking about it. And don't wait until the last minute, and that's more a technical recommendation than anything else, because you know the reliability of our systems here in the IUCN, and although everything is working perfectly right now for this conference call, you know it's not always the case, and this also applies to the IT servers. So if everybody waits until the last minute, chances are that our servers will collapse and you won't be able to submit your proposal. So if you can do it a bit before, that's much better. Don't forget the one program rule. No single unit or individual can submit a proposal for a workshop or a conservation campus on his own. You need to have partners. And then remember that there will be no exception, no bypass. Everything needs to be submitted before the 15th of October on the Congress portal. We have another question for you, and this one is a bit more important for us, because we would like to know if you already thought about the events you would like to propose or you will propose for the forum. So if you have already in mind workshops, or knowledge cafes or posters, it's not, of course, a final decision, but that's a way for us to know more or less what will come through the call for contribution and be prepared in terms of what people are thinking about. So right now we have one poster, few people not knowing yet what they would like to propose. Apparently no one in Asia is interested in workshops, which is kind of worrying. Pavilion, yes, that's another option. We haven't talked about it yet, but it's coming in the next slide. Knowledge cafe, okay, that's another option. Conservation campus, great. And one workshop, okay, at least one.
So I guess what is important here is, if you do have meetings with your members during the next month, actually, because we are almost 1 month before the call for contribution closes, then do make sure to pass this information on. Remind them that they need to work with another member organization or commission member, or with you as secretariat, and make them propose, because right now we actually do not have a lot of proposals from Asia yet, and being such a big region, we are really hoping that you will be pushing those members, commission members, or even just within your units, and try to actually propose something for Hawaii.
And for the 2 persons who have indicated Conservation Campus, just remember that in the form that you will submit, be really explicit on the way this session is really a capacity building session or a training session, because many times people just use the Conservation Campus as an excuse to have longer workshops, and this won't really work with the technical reviewers. So make sure that you make clear that this is really a training session or a capacity building session when you submit the proposal. Again, this question will remain open for a few more slides, so you can keep on sending your answers. We right now have 5 workshops, which is kind of more logical, and this gives us an idea of what we can expect from ARO, at least in terms of submissions. We also have other elements at the forum. You can see the 4 we just talked about on the right side of the screen in blue. That's what goes through the call for contributions. but we also have elements that won't go through the call. This includes pavilions, and you mentioned pavilions as the element you would like to submit before. Pavilions are not part of the call for contributions, but we will still have pavilions in Hawaii. The only thing is that these pavilions are managed by the individual global programs here, and they decide on what the agenda of the pavilion will be. Right now, the list of pavilions is species conservation, protected areas, business and biodiversity, marine, which will be called the Ocean Pavilion, but it's the marine program, Hawaii and the Pacific, water, forests, and probably the US, who is right now thinking about having their own host country pavilion or not. They haven't decided yet. But in any case, for all the thematic ones like water, forest, business and biodiversity, there is one specific person in every global program here. So for the business and biodiversity program, for example, the business and biodiversity pavilion, it will be Leanne Hurt, who will be the focal point for the pavilion, and she is the person you need to contact if you want to have a slot at the pavilion. So don't submit pavilion submissions through the call for contributions, because then we will write back to you saying, well, that's not part of the call, so please hold on and contact the pavilion focal point directly. The call for contribution will only look at workshops, knowledge cafes, posters, and conservation campus. Then all the other events you can see on your screen, conservation cases, breakfast with, big debates, and the IUCN cafes, are new sessions that we want to introduce in Hawaii. Conservation cases would be like highly technical sessions on specific conservation issues, like, let's say, invasive species, where more than half of the session would be dedicated to a debate with participants to really make sure that at the end of the session, these participants get out of the room with a state-of-the-art knowledge on what works and what doesn't in terms of invasive species management, for example. And we would have a series of five to eight conservation cases like this on big or hot conservation issues that we want to promote at the Congress. Breakfast with is a way for us to use better or more the VIPs that we might have at the Congress. We would offer these VIPs to host an informal breakfast sessions with up to 20 people that would be selected, obviously, to have an informal discussion over a real breakfast with coffee and everything, or tea, to informally discuss conservation issues. That's really up to the VIP and the people in the room. There is no specific agenda, so it can be anything. And it's just an opportunity to talk to these VIPs. Big debates are the version 2.0 of World Leaders Dialogues that we had in the past. They are a primetime event happening at the end of the afternoon from 5 to 7:30. High-level sessions where we want to have a really dynamic debate on key conservation issues. The IUCN Cafe is literally one of the cafe areas in the Congress venue that we will brand as IUCN, and we would like to use this space to promote the IUCN knowledge products. So, for example, with a specific schedule, you would know that if you go to the IUCN Cafe on Monday morning, you would have the species program, Jen Smart or whoever, working on the IUCN red list of species there, present physically, to answer any question you might have about the red list, its application at national level, the use of criteria, whatever you can think about, they will be there to answer your questions and tell you how the IUCN red list of species works. Then in the afternoon, we would move maybe to the green list of protected areas. On Tuesday morning, the Human Dependency on Nature Index, and so on through the entire forum with all the knowledge products we want to promote from IUCN. The exhibition, that's more maybe for Raj or those who are directly in contact with members. It works exactly the same as in previous congresses. There will be the option for members and partners to rent an exhibition booth in Hawaii. Prices will be more or less similar to what we had in Jeju. And the call for this will be open later this year in December with all the specific prices and everything people need to know about renting an exhibition booth at the Congress. The booth or the exhibition remains open during the entire Congress, or 10 days, not only during the forum. And again, priority is given to members, but it's also an option that is available for any partner wanting to showcase what they do at the Congress. And then the WCC on the beach You can see that it's still to be confirmed, but the idea is to use the opportunity of being in Hawaii to have an extension of the Congress on Waikiki Beach, where all the tourists are, to make sure that we also talk to these people that wouldn't normally come to an IUCN Congress and wouldn't even know about the IUCN Congress. They are just there to be on the beach and enjoy their holidays. We want to reach out to these people through lighter activities like cultural events, open air cinema at night, an information booth during the day, to make sure that at least they know that we are there in the Congress venue talking about conservation, and that conservation in a way also matters to them on the beach, because if we don't conserve the beaches, then they won't have this opportunity to come to Hawaii and spend their holidays there on Waikiki Beach. This is still to be confirmed because we are confirming the budget, the figures for this event, but it's going on the right direction right now. Key dates for the forum, Michelle?
Okay, so let me just wrap it up for you. This is we have actually taken a little bit more time. We still have the Q&A at the end. I think that because, let's say, half of you have not actually been at a Congress, we did take a little bit more time to go over the main idea of the Congress. So I'm just going to wrap it up for you. We have the call for contributions for forum events, which is what we have been talking about, that yes, it does close the 15th of October, so in almost 1 month. Then the second thing that is important is the call for technical reviewers. On the 1st of September, exactly 1 year before Congress, the Congress unit sent an email to all of you, and if you go and look for it on the 3rd paragraph, we do have the call for technical reviewers. So that means that if you want to help us shape the event, if you want to help us select the very, very best events from everything that will go through that call for contributions, you just go online, you apply for it, and then you can be part of the team. Right now we have more than 100 reviewers from IUCN members, commission members, secretariat. The more the merrier. So please do go ahead and say, yes, I want to help. Then the third thing is the Congress registration, which will open in October as well. Fourth thing is the staff recruitment for volunteers. And I know that this is important to most people, so I'm going to just emphasize there are basically 2 ways in which you can come to the Congress. One is if you are actually presenting a poster, or you're hosting any sort of event, or you're managing a pavilion, and then you come as part of the staff of IUCN from your region, from your project or your office, and you go there as any other participant will go, and you just make part of the actual Congress itself. So as another participant, but being part of the secretariat. That is one way. The second way in which you can actually come and work for the Congress is through this call for volunteers that will actually open in December. So from all of the other Congresses, for you that have been there, well, for you who haven't as well, we basically do have a Congress organigram. So we will have people in charge of human resources, people in charge of logistics, people in charge of members' assembly, people, which is actually Sebastian, my boss, and myself, in charge of the forum. So at this point, for example, it's only Sebastian and myself who make part of the forum team. But then within a year, when we get there, it's going to be 60 of us, forum team members. And this actually happens thanks to people like you from all of the regions, all around the world, coming and volunteering. Then another question that we usually have is, do I have to have technical knowledge in order to actually volunteer to come to Congress? And the answer is yes and no. It depends on what you will actually like to volunteer as. If you go to members assembly, you want to work in motions, for example, yes, most probably you do have to have a lot of technical skills. Then if you're working for the forum, most of the time we actually are looking at people that are hard workers, that are good at dealing with people, that speaks many languages, that have good managerial skills. So yes and no, it depends, and we will need a lot of people. So do talk to your bosses, talk to your line managers, start seeing if this is actually something you can apply to do. Just have a little talk. Most of the time we do have a lot of luck, and all of the line managers say, yes, of course, go to the Congress. You have to leave it, you have to see it. And then last but not least, we have the motions process, which will start in November and will go all the way until February next year, which will be done online, etc., etc. Then if you have any more questions, we're actually going to start with the Q&A now, but if you cannot get an answer to your question right now, or if you just want to go into a lot of detail, congressforum@iucn.org is actually our shared email address, so you can just send our questions or suggestions there, and we will be answering.
So now the floor is yours. Should be yours if it works. It's coming. If you check your laptops right now or iPhones, you should see the opportunity for you to ask any questions you want about the Congress, or vote for an existing one. We can see that there is already one question that someone submitted before this webinar. You can go on and send us any question you want an answer to right now, or you can vote for any question that is already in the system.
So basically, next to when you go to pollev.com, then you will see all of the questions that have already been submitted. So if there is one that you actually do want to get an answer for, then you can you have these arrows up and down, so you can just go and click on it, which is basically like giving it a like, and we will make sure to answer it right away.
Okay, so I'll just answer the question that was in the system already about inviting political and decision makers to the Congress. How you can do it? Well, the question is not that much how, but why you should do it. In a way, politicians will come to the Congress because they have something to announce or something to show. So to have a prime minister or minister coming to Hawaii will probably depend on the projects you are already implementing with this government, or any initiative you want to start after the Congress and that might be announced at the Congress. So in a way, they have to have a good reason to come to Hawaii, and this good reason needs to come in a way from you, from the projects and the collaboration between IUCN, your office, your unit, and this specific government. If we are talking about ministers and presidents, these peoples are usually VIP or VVIP. So if you want to invite any of them, please make sure that you send them to Nick Bertrand in the Director General's office, because he is the VIP manager for the Congress, sorry, and he's compiling right now a list of VIP that will be then reviewed by the Director General and the President to make sure that we don't end up with 500 VIPs at the Congress without knowing what they will do, because that's what usually happens or happened in past Congresses. So this time we want to make sure that all the VIPs we invite for Hawaii are actually have a role in the Congress. They come for a good reason. We know what they come from. We know who will be with them while they are in Hawaii, because these people are usually quite demanding in terms of assistance. So we need to, in a way, channel our efforts to some key people that are really important for us to have at the Congress. If we are talking about lower people in the governments, like directors or technicians, then it's entirely up to you, and it should be done according to the projects or initiatives you want to show at the Congress or initiate at the Congress. But in any case, the how would be from your office, the way you normally communicate with these people. Just make sure that they know about the Congress, just make sure that they want to come to the Congress, and then they just need to apply, to register like any other participant.
Okay, I'm going to go now, since we have like 7 likes for this one about the pre-sponsorized. So this takes me back to what I was saying about how can you actually go to Hawaii and be part of the team. If you are actually going to host an event at the Congress and you are going as part of your project or your regional program, then no, headquarters and the Congress unit will not be pre-sponsorizing. We do have, however, within the logistics area of it, But we have our colleagues there working on better rates. If you go as secretary, better rates for travel, better rates for hotel rooms, for example. But if you do go as a participant, then you have to go by your own means to do your own thing. If you go as a volunteer and you're working as part of the Congress team, then yes, everything is covered for. We do not have a lot of money, so it will not be a big party going over. Most probably you would have to share a room, as we have all been there, done that. But that is basically the main difference. Then
what the Congress will cover is, because I see room rental, yes, all the costs related to the actual workshop, that's covered by the Congress itself. So you don't need to rent a room or pay for a projector or screen. That's all included.
Then is it possible to volunteer if only speaks one language? Yes, as I was saying before, we do have different areas within the Congress, and we will need a very different sort of skills from everybody depending on what you are applying for. So yes, even if you only speak one language, and especially if that language is English, I think you will not have any issues finding something to do during Congress.
Okay, so I'll take this one instead. Do you have concept note database for previous WCCs? Yes, we do, but it's currently offline for technical reasons. But what you can do is actually see what other people have already submitted for this WCC. So if you go to the Congress portal, the URL you saw before, portals.iucn.org/Congress, you have access to all the proposals that have been already submitted for this Congress, and you can compare to what you want to submit yourself. You can also, if you see that there is a proposal that actually is very similar to what you want to do, instead of submitting another one, contact the organizer of this proposal and maybe offer to partner with him or her, because that will make our life easier, because then we don't have to merge you during the selection process. Yes.
Shall I just go to, if we would like to submit a forum event, can we partner with IUCN members outside of our country? Yes, definitely. And actually that is exactly what we are looking for. So if you have, let's say you want to propose a workshop on marine conservation or marine protected areas. So yes, you do have your country example, you have your project there, but then if you do go and look for some other partners, yes, outside your country, even outside of your region, that are working on marine protected areas as well, that also have more examples on how it is better to manage these areas, etc., and you go present something, and that will give you a real global view of the issue, and that is exactly what we're looking for when we look at workshops and when we look at conservation campuses. So yes, please do engage with people outside of your normal database.
So going back to political leaders, how can we invite political leaders when we don't know what the agenda of the Congress is and what role can be offered to them? Well, actually, that I would return the question. You define the Congress agenda through the submissions you will send for the forum, for example. So the agenda of the forum is actually 100% defined by the call for contribution. So it's you and 1,000 other people who will submit a proposal that will define this agenda. So if you really want to have the Minister of Environment from Bhutan at the Congress and you have already a project with them, then submit a proposal on this project. Make sure that you inform us that it's a really important proposal, because the minister or the president can come and be at the Congress, and then we'll make sure that this proposal make it through the selection process. The other thing is that opportunities for VVIPs like presidents and so on, you actually probably received an email from, again, Nick Bertrand, explaining that there are very few opportunities for like this for VVIPs, and that what we want is really limit the list of VVIPs right now to the people we are almost sure can come to Hawaii. So if you have a very personal relationship with, I don't know, a president, whoever, and you know that if you ask, and if you have already the contact, and you know that if you ask, this person will come to the Congress, then add it to the list, and we'll make sure that we consider him or her as a VVIP for the Congress. If you just add names like, I want Leonardo DiCaprio to come to the Congress, that won't work because we don't have any way to contact Leonardo DiCaprio unless you do. Then obviously
do let us know if you do.
But if we don't have already a working relationship with this person, if we don't have a good contact, chances are that they won't come to the Congress, or they won't be kept on the list.
And then also on that area, and this is why Sebastian was saying that we have until October to submit proposals, because then we have to review them, we have to accept them, etc., etc. So we will have the very first draft of the forum agenda in January. So maybe you don't feel like, yes, you can invite leaders or you can invite very important people right now, but then by January you should have that little hook to say, yes, look, this Congress is going to be awesome.
What's new for the 2016 WCC compared to previous one, and will be the eye-catching points? I would say two parts to this answer. Internally, you've seen that we are trying to introduce new session types and new ways to interact with participants. So we really want to make sure that this Congress is more interactive, than participants have a new experience and really can engage with the speakers and with the organization. We want to make sure that anything we select for the forum is action-oriented, outcome-oriented. So we'll try as much as possible to avoid the blah blah sessions where nothing comes out at the end of the session, but really to make sure that anyone going to the Congress at the end comes back with a feeling that really these people are taking action and are doing something for conservation. We want to appear as IUCN as action-oriented people, and not just as probably any UN COP or something like this, where people talk a lot but don't do much after the COP. What will be new externally? I would say that actually this Congress comes at a time and at a moment where we have a unique alignment of the stars, because by next year we will have the SDGs. We will have hopefully a new agreement on climate change from the COP21 in Paris in a few months. We will have an agreement on natural capital framework, and we will have several elements that will really give us all the opportunities we wanted, all the framework we wanted, to make sure that the Congress is not just about creating new frameworks and new documents, but using what has been agreed during 2015 and part of 2016, and convert this into concrete action for the future. So in a way, again, this Congress will be different from the others, because that's up to us to make sure that instead of talking again about what we could do, we stop talking and we start acting in a way. What else? You
want to go down a bit?
What will be the thematic contribution of the US government? That's a very good question. I wish I knew. We don't know yet. The US in general is very involved in the preparations of the Congress. US organizations and UN agencies are getting more and more involved in content-related contributions. So we know that they are preparing a lot of submissions for the call for contribution, for example. We know that they want to use the pavilions that we have to show what UN agencies are already doing for conservation. We know that all the agencies like NASA and NOAA and all the big agencies in the US will be at the Congress and want to be at the Congress and be part of it. And we know also that for now we have a door open at the White House, and that in a way through the Environmental Quality ECQ office. Well, I can't remember the meaning of the acronym, but basically the unit within the White House who is looking at conservation issues. We have a door open, and they are telling us that right now, until we get a no, we can probably count, or we probably should plan on presence of Barack Obama at the Congress. That's still to be confirmed. We won't know for sure until probably 24 hours before the Congress. But for now, he's aware of the Congress. He knows that it's happening in Hawaii. It's his home state. And for now, he's not saying no to the possibility of coming to the Congress. So that's part of the contributions we know from the US. On a more technical side, we will need to check what is already submitted through the call for contribution and what will be submitted in the next months.
I'm going to go ahead and answer. Is it possible to share the best workshop concept notes of last year, of last Congress? Actually, that is a very good question, and it's something that we do not have on the system yet, but we could make it happen. I think it's a good way to showcase also how a really, really good proposal should look. So yes, it will be possible. I will talk to the IT guys here and see if we can dig into it and actually check what the best score was and make that public. So thank you. That is a very good suggestion. I will make note of that.
Will there be any Hollywood celebrity coming? If you know any, just let us know and we'll be happy to invite them. More seriously, yes, probably. We don't know whom yet, but I mean, the fact that the Congress is for the first time in the US and in Hawaii, which is kind of the next stop after Los Angeles and the West Coast, makes it a bit more easier for us to make sure that these people are aware of the Congress and maybe one or several of them will want to come. What we're trying to do is also use the fact that most of them come to Hawaii or go to Hawaii, have a house somewhere on the island, and that Hawaii is kind of a very small state and everybody know each other. So for example, we know that we can have direct access to Jack Johnson, which is not really a Hollywood celebrity, but is a famous singer. We know that we can have direct access to him and to, in a way, make sure that we have 80% of probabilities that he would do something for the Congress. That's just one example, and there will probably be more.
Okay, I think we should scroll down a little bit.
It is open to IUCN staff, or can external propose events? No, anybody can propose events. IUCN staff, IUCN members, IUCN commissions, or anyone outside IUCN wanting to come to Hawaii. It's totally open. How can those lessons learned from previous congresses contribute to this one? That's what we are ensuring through the Forum team and through the Congress team. From an organizational point of view, you know that after each Congress or during each Congress there is an evaluation of the Congress, and obviously we include and we integrate the lessons learned from each Congress into the planning of the next one. So rest assured that the lessons learned from Jeju will be applied to Hawaii, and have been already included in the way we are framing this new Congress.
I think we're running out of time by now, so I'm just going to go and answer one more each, and then we really need to wrap it up. So if you can go down a little bit, I just saw one which was, I can't see it. Well, there was one, I cannot see it right now on the screen, but there was one that said, will it be possible to download a copy of the form so that we can share it with partners? Right now on the system, you cannot actually just download the form. So the easiest way will be to just go and copy paste from the system, put it on a Word, and then send it away. I think it will be possible to just do it like that and actually put download form. But the problem is that then if you can download a form, then you will be expecting to be able to upload it after. And I think that just 1 month before the call for contribution closes, if we ask our IT department to change the system now, they will just be seriously mad at us. So if you can just go ahead, yes, and that is actually the best way to work on it. Copy paste all of the form, send it to your partners, work on it, and then just have one focal point, maybe yourselves as secretariat, have one focal point to go and paste it all into the system before the 15th of October.
Okay, so I'll take two questions actually, because the first one was really easy. There was something about participants. What kind of participants can come to the Congress? Again, it's actually open, so anyone interested can register and come to the Congress. There is no selection criteria on the people being able to register. And then how many webinars are planned? For us, Forum team, one per region. Well, more in the case of ARO, because we divided the regions into 3 areas actually. But the idea is to have one webinar on the forum for each region, and then our colleagues from logistics and probably from the assembly will also do the same later this year on their specific bits of the Congress.
Although I will not commit to that because that is not our area, so just in case, we are trying within the Congress unit to actually make it happen. But probably I will say not even this year, but maybe next year when they have a lot more information so that they can spend an hour and 10 minutes talking to you.
This question, I mean, it will change right now when we change the slide, but then we will reopen it afterwards. So if you want to send us more questions, you can still do it through this URL, polev.com/WCC2016, or by email to congressforum@iucn.org, as Michelle mentioned before. Anything that we didn't answer now today, we can answer by email, and we'd be happy to answer by email. So just feel free to send us more questions. And we had one more question for you. For statistic reasons, if you could, one of you in each office could tell us how many people were in the room attending this webinar, sorry, and of course which office. So if you can say like Thailand, that many people, Vietnam, that many people.
Yeah, I'm not sure right now you can see the actual answers on the screen because as I am connected, I can only see a blank. But if you just go to Poll Everywhere, then you should be able to actually see the responses there. So you can just, go ahead, write the number of people in your office, please.
Wow, 25 people in Bangkok. Wow, thank you very much.
I did just send an answer. In China we have 9.
Not bad.
Okay. I think this is actually the most attendance we have had so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Vietnam we have 12 people. They are just saying. They just sent an email. I'm gonna put it there. Then
12 in Vietnam. Wow.
Cambodia we have 5. Vani says.
That's a huge group. I think that's the best attended webinar we had until now. So really, thank you very much.
Okay.
And while the others are responding, I just wanted to show you one last thing. Well, tell you one last thing. Mahalo, which is a word you will probably hear a lot next year at the Congress, means thank you in Hawaiian. And Mahalo Nui Loa is thank you very much. So really, thank you very much for being with us today. You can follow the Congress, anything happening around the Congress, and help us promote the Congress by using the official hashtag that you can see on your screen, IUCN Congress. That will greatly help the communications team in their job promoting the Congress. And if you follow this hashtag, you will also know any new information about the Congress that they will post on any media.
I have a last message from TUI, and they say that the internet was very slow and they could not join from the beginning, and asking if we can send a copy of the presentation.
Yes.
Actually, since the presentation is a bit interactive, as you have seen, it's a bit tricky. But we are recording the session, so we will share the recording of the session itself so that you can just share that with all of the people around you. It will take us a little bit of time to download it and see if it worked or not, but we'll let you know and we'll send you something very soon. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you everybody for your time, for paying attention, for not falling asleep during our presentation.
And then again, if you have any question, don't hesitate to send us an email or send it through Poll Everywhere. We will reactivate the question right now. And that's it. Thank you. Thank you very much.